Mr. Demi.
Mr. Orlando, what's going on, mate?
Mate, I'm okay. I can't believe another Monday's whiz round. Faster than the Flash. You remember that character from Marvel, the Flash?
Absolutely, mate. Who doesn't?
Exactly that. I thought you might remember him, but it feels like we're in like a mini episode of that that's just on loop at the moment, right? And everything's just going.
It's true that the week just flies by, and before you know it, it's Monday again. Exactly
that. Things move up and down, sideways, FX markets, crypto markets, but time itself is just literally going bonkers, and we're probably in for a little bit more of that in 2022, but it's going to get better. Of that, I am sure, regardless of your life situation. Now, we can't make a promise for everything in your life, but what we're going to try and do is help you improve the start of your 2022 year if you're interested in FX and trying to get more pips. So we're just going to do a few shout outs. We have got Brucey in the house. Time is parabolic. Very well put. Roy's in the house. Morning to you, Roy, depending upon where you are in the world. Paul is tuning in live on YouTube. Good to have you with us, Paul. And of course, Slav was the first comment of our last show, FX, of course, for 2021. Mate, talking of time going fast, the whole freaking year has just been like, whoops-a-daisy. Here we go. Now we're in December. It's been a good year. What's been some of your highlights for trading and for FX? And obviously we'll keep cryptos for tomorrow, but what's been some of your highlights for this year?
To be honest, I'm related to the markets. I think the highlight of the year when your name was born as Wi-Fi. I thought that was one of the highlights. I think
was that this year or was that last year?
No, that was this year.
Was it?
It was this year. Yeah. Internet cutting out, going to the mountains. Actually, the second highlight was when you did a show in your car. That was like
that was this year.
And you know what? People gave you a lot of kudos for that because I like, you know what? He could have easily cancelled, but no, he didn't. He turned up, did his thing. So yeah,
you were the only one. You were the only one that gave me stick for that.
Yeah, but deep down, I thought, you know what? This man is dedicated, committed to these people. So that was funny, though. I don't think I would have done
that. Not for this particular thing that we're doing, but I've done lives in worse places than a car, put it that way. So I thought, well, if I have to do it in a car, then I've done it in worse places and in more bizarre places. So yeah, that was quite an easy one. What a crazy year, mate. What a crazy year. So look, we're going to do the usual thing. We're going to jump into the biggest FX news of the week. Then we're going to set Andy's Find Me an FX Trade in 15 minutes. And we will give you a high, how should we say this? A high probability, low risk trading setup that Andy uses the same techniques and strategies from his own trades. He shares that with you. We've done it all year. It's nothing new. But this is the last one of the year. So make sure, just make sure you take your notes. Any questions that you've got, FX related, there's no more chances to ask any questions. So we'll try and get through as many questions as we can as well today. But first of all, before we get to that, I want to because time's going so fast, we may as well fast forward a couple of weeks because it's literally like 2.5 weeks until everybody starts singing Auld Lang Syne and makes New Year's resolutions for 2022. I guess take us back to a year when what was the pivotal year for you when you kind of made some New Year's resolutions and you actually stuck to them and you had like a breakthrough year in your trading? Maybe it's a year that you were still doing it part-time and the year that you finally broke into the trading floors or the hedge fund world, or maybe it was when you left that world and you started doing it back on the retail side, but actually as a professional trader. What's been kind of some of the standout moments for you that we can share via osmosis to the viewers here who are watching, that maybe they're in a part-time position, and how could they go about making 2022 a really massive year for them if they want to go down the route of FX?
Yeah, I think in terms of like, you know, like sometimes you look back on a journey and it starts from somewhere, and there's like a point where you make a decision and then you don't really realize you've made such a big decision, because if you do realize it, you probably don't follow through with it. But you kind of make a decision that this is what I want to do. This is it for me. This is what I want to do. This is what I need to master. And, you know, I was quite lucky because I realized that at quite a young age. And that allowed me breathing room to make a lot of mistakes and to learn from those mistakes without basically being a disaster for when you've got dependence, for example. It's very different. You have a lot more, I guess you have to think a little bit more. It's not just about you. So, you know, for me, when I kind of got started and I left university, you know, my main focus there was, you know, let me try and get into a good firm, a good job. And, you know, I didn't really care what the job was. I just wanted it to be in finance. I wanted to have a good name on my CV. That's kind of what everybody always kind of thought at that time. It's like, let's just get a good name on our CV and then build a career from there. And you can kind of figure out exactly what you want to do. So I landed a great job at Deloitte, and it wasn't in accounts, but basically Deloitte were auditors, and I got flown out to Luxembourg. I worked there for a year, and I had an opportunity to really progress my career at that time. And for a young kid, I was getting paid a lot of money, as well as having all my accommodation and food expenses paid for, living in Luxembourg. And, you know, that was a kind of, you know, that was an opportunity there for me to just say, look, this is what I can just carry on this road, and I can just, you know, doesn't matter if the job's boring or not, like you could just earn some money and be happy. But I kind of made a different decision. You know, I actually ended up leaving that job because I found out about trading, and I got a passion for it. And so I decided that this is what I wanted to learn. So I was quite lucky because obviously I'd worked, I'd saved some money. I was living at home at that time, so I didn't really have a lot of expenses. So I could just kind of bury my head in my room, you know, and just learn the markets. So I set myself this goal and I said, look, I know this is what I want to do. I love this stuff, but now I need to prove that I can do it. So that's kind of like the story of where I took a tiny account. I was trading a couple of grand, and I said, look, this is what I've got to do. I've got to hit 10% a month on average for the next 12 months. And if I can do that, then I know that I can build a career from this, because I know I can scale that up. I know that I know I'm resourceful. I know I can find more money from somewhere, and maybe even ask my dad, although that was never going to happen in reality, because he completely disagreed with that kind of choice. So anyway, I think that the biggest thing was like going against family and what they thought was best, you know, leaving, you know, as I said to you before, like, I think one of the biggest things was like, it was really challenging to get a good job. It's really challenging to get a good wage and a good name on your CV. So for someone to just leave that after working hard to get that, in logical terms, it doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? But I kind of just decided that was a good path, an easier path, because I've got there now. I've got my foot in the door. I know people, and I know I can build a great career. But then this path was the unknown. And now that you know me, Gavin, you know that that's generally the path that I would always take. I'd always take the riskier path, because I think you've got one life, and if you love something, then, you know, you've got to go all in on it, in my opinion. Like, at least mentally. And I don't mean you have to leave your job, but at least mentally. And that's what I did. And I think that was the biggest turning point, because I kind of said, well, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to master this. And as long as it takes, I will master it. As many years as it takes, and whatever mistakes I make, I will master this, and I will get really good at this, and I will make this my my main source of income. And, you know, obviously the journey was long and I made a lot of mistakes and, you know, blew up an account and all the rest of it. But the most important thing is because of my commitment, because of my word that this is what I was going to do, I stuck with it. And eventually I figured out how to do this. And I think for a lot of people that have maybe been doing this for a little while and then quit, well, there's probably not a lot of difference between you and I. The only difference was that I was just not willing to quit. It was like, well, you're going to get this. You will get this. And it doesn't matter what you have to go through to get there. And I think that really set my path. And, you know, now it's been 18, 19 years. And I think if we speak in 10, 20 years, it will be like 30, 40 years, because this is what I'm going to always do. It's like, and I'd love to pass this on to more people and to our children and all that kind of stuff. So it's...
Wait. When you say our children, he doesn't mean me and him, just for the record.
Oh, I thought we were... Oh, okay. I thought we were going to have kids together. No?
Wow, you've taken until the last show of the year to drop that bomb on me.
Oh, I thought we discussed this, mate.
At least I have witnesses here. At least I have witnesses. Thank you for being here, by the way. I don't think I've ever said that before, but thank you for tuning in, because you've just heard what that guy just said. Anyway, please continue your story, you strange, strange man.
Yeah. Oh God! If I kept the straight face there for a little while longer. No, I mean that was, yeah, and no, it's you know, and I think with anything that you do, the biggest thing is like, if you find your passion, and hopefully it's in trading, then you just have to keep working at it. But also, I think I never stopped enjoying the process. That's quite important. It's like, even in the difficult moments, I guess, like maybe a little bit of an insight into people like that maybe have had some challenging moments, maybe have lost some money. I guess like maybe think about how you react in those moments and the thoughts that go through your head. I think for me, it's like, yeah, some of it is like maybe a little bit like, of course, like you don't feel good about having done that, having lost money. But the other side of me is like a bit of a, like, I kind of fight. Like my thing is like to fight back and to say like, okay, we're gonna get back on our feet. It's like almost instant, like a cycle go. It's like it's never happened, and immediately I'm back focused. And I think how you react to something and how long you dwell on something is so important. Like, you can't dwell on losses, you can't dwell on mistakes for too long. Like 5 minutes, and then you've got to move on. And I think that's part of the problem. I think a lot of people just, you know, they're in this game because they want to make money, and when it doesn't go well, I think that the biggest thing is then you start to feel sorry for yourself, and you think, oh, I can't do this. Maybe I'm stupid, or maybe I just can't get it. Maybe I'm too emotional. Maybe I'm this. And now you're just kind of you basically blocked off any opportunity for you to succeed, because you're just telling yourself you can't. And actually, you've got to almost do the opposite. You've got to almost, even if you don't fully believe it, you have to act as if you do, and you have to say, right, okay, I'm going to regroup, I'm going to re-energize, and I'm going to go again, and we're going to start again, and we're going to learn from our mistakes, and then we push on again. It doesn't matter what's happened has happened. There's a lesson there, and I know with that lesson, I'm going to make a lot more money in the future. Right now, it doesn't feel good, but in the future, it will feel okay. And I will remember it almost like a distant memory. And that's going to serve me and help me make more money in the future. And that's kind of literally how I respond to setbacks. And that's how you have to respond if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I think you and I, that's probably where we're the most similar. Understanding that things, as crappy as they can seem, they're not happening against us, they're happening for us. And if you can find the lessons in them, and then, like you said, take your licks. I give myself 24 hours to kind of process things and move on and just, be be a little moaner for a bit if I need to moan, or just process and just let the fury out or whatever it is, and then just move forwards and keep moving forwards. And yeah, whenever someone thinks they're at the peak of the mountain, you turn around and there's another peak higher. I love that saying, and it's so true. And we're not meant to get to the top of the mountain and then just sit there having a picnic. So, and like you said, it's good to want to help other people, and just have a think about it, guys. Like, there's many things that we can do to earn money now. So just make sure that you're doing it for that reason, because you love doing this. Like, you'll see, I mean, the guy comes on every week, twice a week, and he's just balls deep into the chart. He would do this even if we weren't watching him, right, mate? That's about you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that's one of the questions sometimes people ask me, do you have to love it to make money? You don't necessarily have to love it to make money. I think when you're passionate about something, though, you really deep, you go deep, and you just find things that maybe other people can't find, and see things that maybe other people can't see, because you're just it's like your world, you're so engrossed in it that, sometimes people think, oh, wow, like, it makes sense when Andy shows me, but then I can't do it on my own. And it's not because I'm better at it than you. It's more a case of I'm more engrossed in it. This is literally like, if you imagine the hours I've looked at charts and studied things and created things, like to create indicators comes from an idea, and the idea takes a lot of thought, and then that means I'm studying how price moves and all these other kind of things, and I'm studying other people's studies as well. So when you do all of that, you just almost like you bring up a chart and I can see it without even drawing lines in, like what's going to probably happen. Then I know the right lines to draw in. And if you kind of really give your all to something, you'll get that good. I've seen people get really good when they do. Now, if you are not at that level, you don't necessarily have to ever be to make consistent money, because, as I've said before, you just need to have an edge. And as long as you've got an edge that you trust and you've got the time to implement it, there's no reason why you shouldn't be profitable. As emotions aside, there's absolutely no reason. One of the examples I've always given, probably close to the start of the year that I've mentioned it before, if you flip a coin and make a decision, it's a 50-50 chance. So surely with some knowledge, you should be able to do better than 50-50, right? So it's really not that complicated. And sometimes we say it can be a bit of a detriment. Sometimes we say, only 5% of people succeed, or 10% of people succeed. And so sometimes people kind of use that as a belief and think, well, how the hell am I going to be? Poor old me, little me, how can I be one of the 5 or 10%? And then you make this a massive, massive goal. But actually, you just need to focus on that simple example. Well, look, if you flip a coin to make a decision, it's 50-50. So surely I can do better than that. And if you can, you're suddenly a profitable trader with an edge. So,
amen to that. Cons in the house, good to have you with us, mate. When you're passionate, you take it more seriously.
Like that big fish there.
Exactly. I see what you did there, mate. And Facebook user, identify yourself, because you put a really good message. Hello, guys. Happy Christmas to everyone from the Secret Santa. That's what we're going to have to call you, the Secret Santa, from now. And then Brucey's got a question, which I know we've covered in past shows, but for anybody that's missed it, did your dad ever change his negative opinion? And I guess how far in did it take him to change his negative opinion?
My dad is a man of few words. So if he has changed his opinion, he's never told me. Let's put it that way. So I think, it might be like a cultural thing, but it's very hard for him to admit if he's wrong. It would just be more like a case of, he'll rather just be silent about it, let's say. But from what I think, yes, I think he can see the success that I've had from doing it. So and every now and again he does compliment me. So
when you send him an expensive bottle of wine.
Anything I send him is like, "Oh, stop wasting your money," is his response. There's just some people, like they have their ways, and that's kind of it.
That's a whole nother conversation when they have their ways and they try and impart their story and their conditioning of the world onto you or onto someone else. And then it's about, are you going to take their frame of the world and their stories and expectations, or are you going to live your own life? And obviously, if you're here, then you're on your way to treating and creating your own life and doing things on the beat of your own drum, which is what we love. And that's one of the things that unites us all here. So look, that's kind of whetted your appetite. You've got another couple of weeks to make some New Year's Eve resolutions for 2022. We thought we'd get the ball rolling early because it is the last FX show of 2021. So with that being said, let's jump into the biggest FX news of the week. And then we will finish with our customary find me an FX trade in 15 minutes, Mr. Demi.
Yeah, there's a lot this week. On a personal note, I mean, this will be the last week I'm trading, and then I'm going to have a break until January. I'll probably keep on top of some positions that I've got, longer term ones, but in terms of like the shorter term stuff, it'll be pretty much, if anything runs over until next week, but I'll be looking to close it probably by Monday, Tuesday. So let's have a little look. There's a lot going on this week, and we start from today. We have some things going on in the UK. There's a bank stress test. Okay, that just kind of shows you the liquidity of banks, essentially. Like, so they do stress tests to see that, making sure that banks can handle, any sudden changes in the economy, economic indicators. And then we've got the governor speaking at 5:30. He'll be speaking about the financial stability of the UK. So normally these are just kind of standard protocol things. Unlikely to say anything interesting, but still worth noting that there could be some volatility today. And tomorrow we have the producer price index. So this kind of tells us it's basically similar to the CPI, but for producers. So normally, for example, here, previous of 0.6, forecast 0.5. If the PPI goes up, it's kind of an indicator of CPI as well, because it normally leads to prices increasing for consumers as well. So it's kind of like a heads up for the CPI. So it's quite important. That's coming tomorrow. And then the RBNZ governor speaking tomorrow at 7 p.m. Again, that's always going to be, any time the governor's speaking, you have to take that into account, that there could be some sentiment statement regarding interest rates. On Wednesday, we've got the CPI from the UK, 7 a.m. Wow, it's quite early. Is that the right time? Yeah, 7 a.m. Quite early. So CPI, there's a forecast. Sorry, previous number is 4.2, forecast 4.8. So, wow, it's really huge numbers, aren't they? 4.8% CPI expected. So that will be interesting to see. Obviously, all the money printing and so on is leading to higher inflation. And what else we got? We've got more data, 1:30 p.m. We've got CPI from Canada. We've got retail sales coming out from the US. Interestingly, expected to be lower than the previous. So maybe people have done their Christmas shopping before, but that's the forecast. And we have got so much data coming out this week. It's incredible. Bank of Canada governor speaking at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. And then we've got the FOMC statement, huge, to see what's happening there and any potential, the likelihood is that it's probably going to follow on the same as last time, but it's a very important one. So keep an eye on this one. And if you can listen to it, it's normally on Bloomberg, or there's normally a live stream. It's definitely worth listening to this one on Wednesday. And and especially the press conference afterwards. And then we've got, because the press conference sometimes catches them off guard and they get asked a question that they answer, and that can create some sudden movements. And then we have GDP coming out from New Zealand at 9:45, and then the RBA Governor's Lowe speaking at 11:30. And on Thursday, we've got employment numbers from Australia. PMI is not so big. We've got the S&B press conference. And then, again, this is going to be a key one. We're expecting, the market has priced in next year for the UK to increase rates. That's already reflected in what the mortgage providers are basically offering. They've started to increase. So that's what everyone's expecting. So this is going to be interesting to see what the votes are like in regards to that. Not expecting any change before next year. So most likely going to stay at 0.1, but again, an important one on Thursday at 12. And then we've got the ECB press conference. And then on Friday, you can have a day off. That is a lot of data coming out this week. What I can see is that, kind of the start of the week, we've got US and UK, Canada, and then we start to get some Euro news as well off the back end of the week. So, yeah, that's kind of the main news there. So it could be a very volatile one, an interesting week.
So with that being said, do you normally see that much news coming out in December, let alone like a couple of weeks before Christmas?
Yeah, no, it can happen. It can happen. I can't remember specifically, but back December. But yeah, it's not unusual. It's still, well, I guess because of the holidays as well. Sometimes maybe you're getting condensed news, so you're getting it early. Obviously, next week will be not next week, but the week after will be Christmas. So that could have something to do with it. Yeah.
Cool. So with all of that being said, it's come to the point where we start the clock at 15 minutes. What pairs are with that news and that data? Tell us some of the pairs that are jumping out at you, and obviously which currency pair that you're going to choose to do the 15-minute FX challenge on.
Well, I think when there's imminent data, I prefer to focus on something that's maybe coming out midweek. So I'd probably be looking more towards the Aussie if I was going to choose one, or possibly the Euro. Something with the Aussie or the Euro we could look at for sure. But I'm also, because it is the last one, I'm also happy to take requests, whatever you guys think, because it's the last FX show. But otherwise, if nobody's got anything particular, I'm happy to do the Aussie dollar. Even cable is quite an interesting one. If I'm honest, I'd also look at the chart to see which one looks the most interesting. So I'd probably say.
Got a couple of requests for Euro USD as well, which we haven't done in a while.
Yeah, let's do Euro then. Let's do Euro. That's fine. I like the cable chart, but we can do Euro for sure. Yeah, that's fine. Euro's fine. We can do that. So let's do the Euro, guys. I'll remove all the drawings. Let's see if we can find a great setup to finish the year off. So we'll get started. Yeah, shall I do it?
Yes, sir.
Okie dokie. Right. So let me have a quick look and see if we can just do the, yeah, we can do the, just going to quickly put the weekly on for a sec. I just want to see where we are. In fact, I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to just make it, let's do 4 time frames. Yeah, we'll start with the weekly. So let's have a little look to see where we are. You can see that obviously the market has pulled back, and we're going to identify some support and resistance points. Let's start with the easy stuff to find where the market might stop. So let's so if we're going down, we can see that this is quite a nice level there, which is where we are right now. We've created a little bit of indecision here right now. If we kind of clear this level, then we'd be looking at probably around here as the next level. Okay. And then on the way up, we always look at past support that becomes resistance. So I quite like that as a really nice zone to potentially target. Now, you can see here that when you look at the weekly, guys, you can see we have a lot of indecision. So this is like 3 weeks worth. So if you want to play a swing trade, this is quite nice because, you know, you could, if I just get my pen out, you could potentially be looking to put a limit order in to see if you can get a nice price and then try and catch it there. And then in that case, you'd be holding it over Christmas. This would be like a, you know, trying to buy somewhere here type thing to take it back up here. That could be a nice swing play. So you've got about 500 pips there, potentially. So you've got, you know, you've got nice resistance that becomes support. You've got some indecision there, holding bar. And then what it could do is it could eventually create an evening star and potentially push higher into kind of this block here. Okay, so that's the kind of longer term thing. Now, if we're going to do that, we have to also go and have a look at the smaller time frames to identify where that might happen. So what I'm going to do on this occasion, I'm going to just move straight into the daily chart off this one because it might be easier. And so one of the things that we can do, I think it's already done a 618 pullback, but let's have a little look to see from high to low. Where has it pulled back to? So it's gone back into this little zone here. It's still kind of ranging here. It could do a double bottom. It could do a double bottom. And if you kind of look over here, it did do something like that last time, didn't it? It kind of went up, went down, did that kind of double bottom formation, and then went up on exactly this level. So there's a chance we could do that. So one of the options is to literally stick an order in around down here. And we can go into the lower time frames and see if there's anything here more telling, but somewhere here could be interesting. So anywhere around this block could be a nice, interesting area to get in. And, you know, what I like to do is I like to find like points below where I can kind of tuck my stop in. So if you look over here, you can see that we've got quite a nice level there that recently acted as resistance. So if we kind of use that red line there and then say, okay, well, why don't we just go below that as a stop? Let's make this, in fact, let's change this color to yellow. And so you could be looking at basically entering there, stop there with a target up there. And that kind of gives you about about a 5-to-1 swing trade on the euro dollar. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the lower time frame, and we're going to see what the lower time frame looks like. So let's leave that there for a sec. Let me go over to the 4-hour chart over here. And you can kind of see this is just ranging right now. It's not giving me signs that the market doesn't tend to just reverse this way. Like if you were looking at this, okay, objectively, you're going to say, well, look, we're going down, we're flagging, and we're probably going to break the flag and go lower, right? That's kind of what you could see. So essentially, if this is going to turn, the likelihood is it's not going to probably turn and do that. It has to almost just kind of create that sort of thing, that W pattern, or a little bit higher like that. That's how markets tend to reverse. So for those that are a little bit more conservative, here's what we can do. So instead of saying, hey, let me try and buy that double bottom and predict it, because maybe it's going to flag and go down, why don't we instead, we could potentially just draw in our lines, and you might say, well, look, okay, right now, that's what it looks like right now. Well, to be fair, it has broken this inner trend line now, and it is coming back and looking like it's going to test it. But I'd want to see a spike down. And then you could look at buying this. Now, you could also add in the DTR. So, like, let's see if I've got the DTR in here. Spiking, excellent. And let's put it in. Let's just make it so it's hit the DTR. I'm going to just make it 1.2, just widen it a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad there. So, and I'd be looking at this possibly even tomorrow as well, like as it kind of goes into the DTR, maybe a nice little low test bar, and then you could possibly look at buying that. Let me just get rid of that. Now, the other option, but for me, it's not really something that I would be doing, is to obviously wait for this trend line to break. But considering, guys, that, we've spoken about, 116 being the target, it doesn't really make any sense. So if I just kind of draw this in, so 116 is there. So realistically, if you want to play this, it's really like, hey, fake out and then off we go. That's really pretty much the play for me if you're going to play this. Now, one little thing that we can do to try and find a nice little entry point is we could do a little sub fib here. Okay, so sub fib is where we take the current little mini cycle here. We take this AB right there. We identify where the pullback is. In this case, it's the 618. And then we could put in basically an optional buy there or a deeper buy there, which is the overextension. These, for me, become buy areas. So if you want to kind of get in on a limit, the levels that I would go with, guys, is 112.30 odd, 112.35. And then the deeper one, which would really give you a nice double bottom, would be this overextension at the 200, which is 112. So I would kind of choose 112.35 and 112. Personally, if you know how to do this, I'd scale in, I'd put 2 orders in. Otherwise, you can just choose one or the other. And then I'd still be going for that same target back up towards between 115 and 116, or once you've got a good enough move, you could, some people would even trail their stop and just see how we go. But in terms of stop, you could keep the same stop as the swing. So essentially, you are using the lower time frame to predict where it's going to stop going down, and then looking to buy up towards here, 115 or the overextension 115.83. So if you want a conservative one, guys, go for 115 because that also takes you nicely into the trend line there. So essentially, in summary, this here is our buy box. If you want to take this kind of setup, nice break there, nice little test in there somewhere, and then we're going for that little move there and that. And what I like is that we'll also be below this level here as well. So if you want to do a tighter stop, you can, of course. You'll get a better reward to risk. You could probably make this a tighter stop here or even here if you'd like to. Just bear in mind, sometimes it takes out the lows and then does that, almost like a fake out, and that happens a lot in FX. So just bear that in mind, guys. But you could probably make this better than a 5-to-1. So to me, looks like a nice setup in euro dollar.
Boom.
And that is the last FX setup of the year for this show.
Not just that, but you've given us a 5-to-1 swing trade and a day trading strategy with entry zones. Take a bow, Mr. Demi. Take a bow. You're getting some love in the comment section, which is great. So yeah, hopefully you guys, you know the drill by now. That is the 15-minute FX challenge. Done in less than 15 minutes. He does make it look easy. Of course, he's been doing it for many, many years. There has been a bit of concern in the comment section. Do we have a crypto show on tomorrow night? Yes, there will be. The last crypto show of 2021 will be coming up tomorrow. Excuse me, almost did a burp. Will be coming up tomorrow. Same time, same place. Cryptos. It's going to be an interesting show. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other comments for FX? No, I don't think so. David saying, what about the masterclass on the last Saturday of the month? Technically, you're correct, David, but the last Saturday this year falls on the 25th of December. Now, we can ask him because he's here. I think I know what his answer is going to be of whether he's going to be spending 3 hours with you lot as much as he loves his private students on Christmas Day. I know Mrs. Demi, so I can... I know what Andy would probably say, but I know what Mrs. Demi would probably do.
Might be a good way to get out of Christmas lunch.
I mean, you'll be getting out of the house as well if you do that. You'll be packing your bags. You'll be getting out of the house, boo boo. So yeah. So look, we'll post an update in the private crypto traders student group about when that one will be, but it will be sometime in January, right, mate? For the 3 hours.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. But yeah, probably the first week of January, I'd guess would be, or yeah, depending on when that falls. But or the second week. But we'll make it up. We'll
exactly
make it
that.
up.
Brucey saying, bring on 2022. Merry Christmas. Feel the Brucey love. That's one way of putting it, mate. Thank you for sharing your love. And let's go out on this one from our very own Top Gun Roy. 2022 is going to be the year. Guys, make sure it's going to be the year for you. Start taking action. Set yourself a goal. See what you have to do. Reverse engineer the steps. Whatever it is that you really want to do, the earth needs you now. The world needs you now to start doing what you really want to do. Don't be following anybody else's storylines and patterns and doing jobs that you don't want to do anymore, especially if it's just for money. We understand it's easier said than done, but the world literally is your oyster. You've just got to work out what you want to do and take action on it. So with that being said, that is a load of love from me for our last FX show, 2021 style. We're going to be out. Mr. Demi, I will leave the floor to you for the last word. Is there anything you want to say for our last show?
No, I mean, I really want to thank everybody for being here, especially those that have been. It blows my mind how consistent people have been turning up to this show. Something we created, something that, just came from an idea when we spoke, you and I, Gavin, that we can do something like this on a regular basis. And I really do hope that you guys have got value from it. And, we've enjoyed doing it. And, the biggest thing for us is to make a difference to people. And, it's been great. I've really, really enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow on the crypto show. But for anybody that's not going to be joining, of course, I want to take this time to give you the best wishes for the holidays. And most importantly, as we've been saying, let's get, people are saying that this is going to be the year. Let's make sure it is. Okay, no excuses, no delay tactics. You owe it to yourself and your family to smash it next year. And whatever it is that you do, whether it's FX, cryptos, or something else, my biggest wish for you guys is to succeed at the level that you want and deserve. And it's been a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Tony James saying all the best, guys. Have a good one. Mr. Brown in the house. Thanks, Andy and Gav. Great show to end the year. Let's do a simultaneous mic drop. 3, 2, 1. Booyah.
We should have got some of those party poppers.
I thought you were going to say cow's udders, or someone would have said
that's where your mind goes. Just
milk and cookies.
Everything you need to know about Gavin.
Milk and cookies. There we go. Milk and cookies. So, guys, that was the last Pips Like a Pro show for 2021. We will be doing the last crypto show for 2021 tomorrow from midday UK time. We'll see you there. For everybody else that is the secret viewers or the people that are watching the replay, we love you too. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys.